Hey, welcome back everyone. This is Game 3 of Sparkyz versus Woongjin Stars. This is going to be my man Leta against ZeRo. Sorry, I was a little excited in the beginning of Game 1 and thought this was Game 2, but it is in fact Game 3. And Sparkyz are finding themselves in an 0-2 hole so far, which is pretty tough for them. Leta is, the game's on the line for Leta, and although this is not an ace match where he has excelled so well in the past seasons, it's basically the same situation because he's got to win this game to keep Sparkyz in the match. This is, like I said, Leta versus ZeRo, and they are playing on Tornado, and let's see, we've got Leta here as the blue Terran in the northeast position, and ZeRo in the southwest as the Teal Zerg. And I'm interested to see how this Terran versus Zerg plays out on Tornado. I haven't actually seen a map, or a Terran versus Zerg on this map yet, but just from looking at it, my quick glance thought of it is that it might be pretty Terran favored, just because it's a pretty long distance between the second and third expansion, so it might be a little bit difficult for the Zerg to get a third gas. Also, in between that second and third, well, not exactly in between, but right outside of the natural base, there's that high ground that looks like it's just prime property to be sieging over any forces that are gathering in front of the natural expansion for the Zerg. But looking at the statistics, it actually looks like it is even so far in Terran versus Zerg, so there must be something going on that I don't know about. But then again, it's early on in the map's life cycle, so it's still too early to tell anything in particular. A pretty early hatchery going down for ZeRo. I think that might have been a 12 hatchery. So he's going early economy. Pretty typical. Still waiting for a barracks, I think, from Leta. Actually, it looks like he might be going for command center first. Pretty interesting. I think that was a 14 command center, so both players going for early economy. And Leta's going to, put himself in a defensive position at the very beginning of the game. He's going to need to protect this expansion against those lings, but luckily for him it is a 12 hatch, so those lings are going to take a while, and ZeRo is scouted in both of the other spawning locations and has so far missed Leta. He's on his way with his drone scout to catch Leta right now, and he's going to be able to see that early expansion, but Leta's putting down 2 racks now, and I think he's going to be safe against any harassment. I mean, it's hard to say right now, because the lings will be coming out pretty soon, but with 2 racks coming after this early expansion, and just because of the distance of the cross-map positions, I think Leta will be able to handle this. So Leta, at least early on, looking like he's posturing to go further into the late game, get his economy rolling right away so that he can get some tech out. Maybe that's an indicator that he's wanting to go for more mech. It's hard to say this early too. I haven't seen whether or not he's put down a gas refinery yet. ZeRo's doing a really nice job with that drone scout, trying to pick off the SCV that was building that command center. He was actually doing a pretty good job of being a pest. I don't think he did any real damage, but it did force Leta, just because he sees the scout. I don't know if he scouted out. Yeah, he certainly hasn't. Now that I think about it, he certainly hasn't scouted out ZeRo's base, so he doesn't know what's coming. So he's been forced to build a bunker. So a slight waste of minerals, but he is putting down his academy now. So it is looking like Medic Marines, at least early on, for Leta. So this is pretty good. I'm actually a fan of this. I think it might be time in Leta's career where he might need to sort of transition to playing a little more standard just for a little while. Obviously, his creativity is one of his biggest strengths, but at this point in the game, people know that when they're playing against you, people prepare for kind of funny builds. They expect early wraiths or drop ships and things like that. And Leta, he definitely has the skill. He has the ability to micro well. He has the ability to macro well. I think if he just works on more standard builds a little bit, he might be able to have a little bit more success in some of the individual leagues, and you know, he's even been struggling a little bit early on in this season. 1 and 2 so far for the season. All of them have been against Terran, so this is the first Terran versus Zerg that we're seeing from him in the 9-10 Pro League season. But, you know, struggling early on against those pretty good Terran opponents, you gotta say, losing to Haya and Midas, I believe. So, you know, those are not players that you should be ashamed of losing to necessarily, but still you want Leta to be winning every match, or, you know, 3 out of 4 matches hopefully. So he's got a little bit of a way to go to catch up with that, but right now he looks like he is going to go and put on some initial pressure, forcing ZeRo to put down a couple of sunken colonies. He's got a full group of medic marines with looks like just 1 fire bat. We saw Gogo use this last week against who was Gogo playing? Roro from We Made Fox, and Gogo just dominated. He had just a perfect timing attack and did a sunken bust against Roro and took that out. So it looks like Leta's trying to do the same thing. That second sunken colony is not quite out yet. It does pop just now, but that first colony is going to go down. He's flanking with his Zerglings. That might go down, but the Firebat is a little bit out of position. It takes him a while to clear out those Lings, but he's forcing ZeRo to pull drones off the line to help defend against this, but the sunken is still not go down yet. He's still at about 1/3 life, and that second sunken is going to be able to clean things up. So, it was a very close run for Leta, but he just wasn't able to completely bust down all of those bunkers. He is bringing a couple of reinforcement medic marines, and even just a handful of those might be enough to take out that already damaged sunken colony. Still not many Zerglings out on the field, but they are going to be replenished pretty quickly. And it looks like Leta's pretty satisfied with the damage he's done so far, and he's going to back up and make sure that his base is protected against the incoming Mutalisk attack. You know, he still hasn't scouted out any of ZeRo's base, but, you know, he knows the timing, that this is exactly the timing when Mutalisks are going to be coming out, and it looks like he's going to be well defended. He's got a couple of turrets around each of his mineral lines, and he's got a couple out there sort of in between his main and natural to help out, so that, you know, he can't just park Mutalisks outside of the barracks and pick off Marines as they're being built. Early on, though, it looks like ZeRo's doing a pretty good job of picking off stray Marines and getting a little bit of damage done, but he is going to be held back for a little bit, and he's putting down a Hydralisk in. He hasn't put down a 3rd expansion yet, so it looks like he probably will be committed to Mutalisk for a little bit, but eventually there's going to be Hydralisks and possibly Lurkers in the field. But it looks like so far Leta's sticking with medic marines, and you know, trying to build up a force so that he can not only defend against this attack, but feel comfortable enough to press forward. Meanwhile, ZeRo coming in and doing a pretty nice job with that harassment. Leta has taken those medic marines and are pushing them down into ZeRo's base, but ZeRo uses that opportunity to pick off about 4 or 5, maybe it's only 3 or 4 SCVs of Leta's, but then he's forced to pull those back just because of the medic marine force that's going to be at his front door in just a minute. He's doing a pretty good job of slowing them down with that Hydralisk group that's in the field, but he's, you know, Leta's getting a couple of free shots against those Mutalisks. He actually takes one down. 1 Mutalisk for 1 Marine is definitely not a good trade for ZeRo. And Leta's looking like he's in a pretty good position, although there are some Zerglings to come in and reinforce these Mutalisks. And not to mention the couple of Hydralisks that have been built. I don't know if Lurker upgrade has been. It looks like it has just finished, and some Lurker eggs are out in the field getting produced, but Lurkers are not out yet. Leta going in with another one of these Mega Marine pushes, trying to break the Sunkens, but those Mutalisks do a great job of helping defend it. I don't think, Leta's not going to be able to continue this pressure. He does a good job and kills off a couple of those, a couple of the Mutalisks and a few Zerglings, but really I think that was a pretty big loss actually for Leta. So Leta is suffering a little bit, and he's had 2 medic marine pushes against that sunken line on the natural expansion of ZeRo, but so far not able to do any real damage with it. Just forcing ZeRo to pull off those drones during the first harassment. Meanwhile, it looks like Leta might be setting up a... Yeah, he sets up on this position. Wow, nice job. He catches those Mutalisks that are out in the field kind of off guard. They weren't expecting them on that high ground that I was talking about earlier. And he's able to get off 1 or 2 kills on those Mutalisks. Meanwhile, ZeRo's bringing in his first couple of lurkers to set up a little bit of a containment on Leta, and Leta's probably going to be trapped right now. He's got some comm stats out there, but right now 4 lurkers, and is just going to rip through the medic and marines unless you know, Leta gets out those tanks, which he's starting to get right now, and get some science vessels to help with mobile detection. Anyways, I'm going to take a break right now, and I'll catch you in part 2.